Hey, Matt Austin here, and we're getting you ready for hurricane season. I've got Alan Harris with Seminole County Emergency Management. We're talking about things you need to figure out before the storm comes, and a lot of people really don't do these things. First thing I want to talk about, Alan, first off, thank you so much for joining us today, is evacuation plans. You need to know what you're doing before the second storm surge starts hitting, right?
Exactly. So you need to know right now where you're going to go. You need to make contact with those individuals. Over the past quite a few hurricanes, we've had people call from South Florida as they've moved into Orlando, thinking they're going to go to a friend or a family member's house. They don't have any room in the inn, so they start to call emergency management locally. We don't have emergency shelters for those folks. In 2005, during Hurricane Wilma, we got an amazing amount of calls from individuals that had traveled up here, thought that they had a place to stay. All the hotels were full. There was no shelters open, so now's the time to be thinking about where are you going to evacuate? Are you going to a friend or family member's out of state? Make that contact now.
Yeah, also, it can be a little tricky with the storm's path, figuring out exactly what location to go to, right?
Exactly, and a lot of people ask us about when should I evacuate? Well, if you can evacuate early, it's always best. So if you're retired, you have a little bit of free time, and you can get away from the area, it's always best to go ahead and evacuate so you don't get in those long lines of traffic. Some people have to work to the very last moment. In that case, you may be looking at an evacuation to an emergency shelter or a friend and family member's house. Emergency shelter being really the last option. If you can go to a friend or family member's house, concrete masonry block home, then that's the best way to go.
All right, good to know. Another thing people don't really get figured out until after the storm hits sometimes is volunteering. People want to get their friends together or their church together and do something good, but that can complicate things, right?
Absolutely. And we've seen this problem in quite a few of the previous storms where individuals will call, even during the hurricane, during Hurricane Irma, people were calling the Emergency Operations Center saying, we would love to volunteer. And the first question we're going to ask is, what are you trained to do? How many people do you have? And have you had any skills in this? Do you have any activities where you've done this before? And a lot of times people say, no, we just want to help out. Well, we'll try to link you with an organization to help out as best we can, maybe sorting donations and things like that. But if you really want to do something, now's the time to get with your emergency management office, your local emergency management office, come together as a group, whether it's a faith group or a nonprofit group, and identify what you're going to be doing post-storm. Sometimes there may be training available through the emergency management office.
Very interesting. So that is something you definitely need to figure out beforehand. Another thing is donations. People kind of think you guys can just use whatever random stuff they have laying around after a storm, and that's just not the case, right?
Right. You can actually do an internet search on disasters in disasters, and it's the donated items, things that come in that aren't needed by the community, and now they're brought to the community to try to handle. So instead of our first responders and secondary responders and our volunteers dealing with the community, now they're dealing with these donated items that have come in. The people mean well, but there's no place to put them. So we don't have warehouse space right after a disaster, so we have to try to identify that where that would be. A lot of issues when it comes to donations. Think about now where you're going to donate. Monetary donations are always the best. Get with your trusted nonprofit or a faith organization, whatever you want to do a little bit of research now to go ahead and determine where you're going to be donating items.
Yeah, cash is always good. You guys will always accept that. But tell me some of the items you were telling me off air, some of the things people have brought in that they thought would really help out in the situation of a hurricane.
So people mean well, so they go in their garage. So we've had everything from bowling balls to winter coats. Don't need winter coats in Florida. Certainly not after a hurricane, because that's during the summertime period normally. So we've had all kinds of things that have come in. And unfortunately, that's been experienced from Superstorm Sandy up in New Jersey to Hurricane Harvey in Texas. And of course, here we've had to deal with it in Charlie, Francis, Jean in 2004, and we just had to deal with it in Irma. Donations coming in. People mean well. We're going to start a donation drive. Well, where's it going to go? Has anyone even asked for it? Is there a place where it's going to be collected, and who's going to distribute it? Those questions need to be answered before.
You guys are not Goodwill.
Yeah.
There, Seminole County Emergency Management. Alan Harris, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Great information there. If you would like more information, we have a county-by-county breakdown that could really help you out at clickorlando.com/hurricane.